Hi, everybody. Old Buck Dave here, episode 209 of the Two Old Bucks. And with me is you know who?
Yep, well, Buckdale.
Old Buck Dale. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. Good to check in again.
I don't know why my microphone keeps going in and out of focus.
Getting a lot of demands from the our listeners. Where the heck are you? That kind of thing.
Where are you? It looks like you're in your living room.
Yeah, I'm in my
Close
it's my
enough.
studio. It's my
Your
studio.
studio. Oh, yeah, the Buck
with
studio. Yeah.
the Buck studio with the dried flowers and that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
So, hey,
Nice.
I'd like to start off. We not only do we speak about friendship, which is becoming I would say more mainstream. I told you the other day that they did a whole article about how wonderful it is to have somebody that you can tell your stories to. Do you know what I mean? It's if you have one, you're lucky to have two. If you have three, that's amazing. If you have five, that's fantastic. And one good friend you can confide in on all subjects all the time, yada yada.
And
yada.
you're good enough friends that you can tell them they're full of crap when they are, and
Yeah.
we'll still be friends afterwards.
And you forgive one another 100 times over the years. But
yeah.
we also talked about books. We read that short story, and I don't know. You're an avid reader, and you read a lot of stuff, and short stories is something that you find it particularly interesting. But I wanted to tell you the other day, searching for something to read.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell the listeners also that very often, old Buck Dave says, "Try this," and it sets me off on maybe another author or something I would never pick up.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been a blessing. But there's nothing been forthcoming from you lately, as far as
Well, I gave you Neanderthal Woman. Come on.
Well, yeah, the short stories, we share what we read. But so yours truly is scouring through the library, looking for something small that he can take to the book club and not have to spend a lot of time reading, like Table for Two.
Don't want to spend any time
pages.
reading. No.
Yeah.
These books get in the way of reading.
Yeah, I don't want to get books in the way of reading. So I run across an author called Elmore Leonard.
Elmore. I know Elmore.
Elmore?
Oh yeah. Get Shorty.
Okay. Yeah.
Among others.
Shorty, among others. And then I'm laughing. So I immediately said, Elmo's, that's a small book. I pick it up. I'm not totally familiar, but I am familiar with his characters. See, it's like, this guy was way ahead of his time when it comes to like a Jack Reacher character or something like this.
Okay.
So yours truly picks up one of them. It turns out in our old local library, there was a bunch of them. So I read one the other day, and I laughed. Totally inappropriate, full of vulgarities, and
we can handle it.
And appropriate violence.
You're going to tell us what the title is?
That one was called Mr. Majestic.
And Mr. Majestic. Okay.
I picked it up because I said, that name sounds familiar. Remember the movie? There was a movie called Mr. Majestic.
I don't.
All right. Well,
when I hear Mr. Majestic, I just think of you. That's just the way it is.
Well, there was a movie by that. In fact, several movies and several characters. You remember the latest one called Justice? It was a TV series.
No.
Well, I said, man, what an interesting character. And it turns out it's based on one of Leonard's characters.
It's an Elmore.
So it's an Elmore. Yeah. So I've discovered this now. I'm fascinated with this stuff. Was published in 1980.
Mm-hmm.
1980. So yours truly
back
is
when you still had hair.
Yeah. I'm amusing myself with that. So there's a lot of literature out there. A lot of literature out there that I have not even begun to scratch the surface on. So when I run across something old like that, and you think, boy, oh boy, they already thought of these things. Some of the stuff I'm thinking today is like brand new, like that movie Bambi. The little story about the deer Bambi.
Yeah.
it's new to everybody under 5.
Yeah. It's brand new to them. Yeah.
So that's what yours truly has been amusing himself with. And I'll carry on with that. So you know
Okay.
what I'm talking about. So
I
what's up
got.
with you? What's up?
What's up?
What's on
Hey,
your
well,
side?
first of all, I wanted to do a shout out to the SRQ Bike Boys,
Oh,
of which I'm kind of a fringe member, I guess. Uh, we volunteer at Salvation Army to fix up old bikes that the Salvation Army and other agencies then give to people that need them for commuting to work or whatever. And every year for Christmas, the Salvation Army gets donations, which they use to buy new bicycles. So this year we put together from the crates 477 bicycles for from little three wheelers to up to regular sized mountain bikes, and they are Salvation Army is delivering those or having those delivered to families as we speak. So it's a nice thing that the bike boys do in conjunction with Salvation Army. So shout out to all the bike boys.
and I applaud your effort to do that because you've probably built and rebuilt your own bikes at least 20 times. So
More.
you don't even have to read the instructions to put them
I
together,
don't.
do you?
Yeah, it's
Whether it's a
yeah.
three-wheeler or a little 24-inch two-wheeler, you just grab the parts, spread them out, and start assembling.
Well, the little three wheelers are the worst because they're just kind of just bizarre the way these things are made to fit together as
And
cleverly as
not
possible.
expected, yeah, not expected to last all that long. So there you
Exactly.
go.
Yeah.
So
So,
my question would be, congratulations for doing that, and you and the fellow volunteers. I think that's a noble thing to do. But how did the hands feel? How's the all the arthritis in the hands? Anything?
well, it's still there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
you
see.
feel it? Yeah, they still.
You can't make
Oh
a
yeah,
fist, but that's all right.
yeah.
Uh, hey, something else here. We
Mm,
talked. I think it was last episode about the kindergartner who had a crush on you. Well, not in kindergarten, but one of our classmates who had a crush on you in high school, apparently. And she told us, and a listener passed along her story, this other woman's story of how she
mm,
was locked in the closet in kindergarten,
mm.
and
I
which
recall.
kind of thought that was a traumatic experience. So we got this from another listener. So this is my kindergarten story. My parents, or not my parents or anyone else, had ever hit me. We were in story circle. I presume this is like kindergarten or grade school. And I had on a stretchy belt, popular back then, and I unclasped it and redid it. Mrs. Barris, and then she's got in parentheses, bitch, capital letters, bitch, just ask anyone who had her, told me to take it off and put it in the cloakroom. As I passed her, she reached out and smacked my rear. To this day, I can remember how shocked I was that she hit me. So there's another trauma, still burned in her memory there about being
That's
smacked by a
interesting that
teacher.
would come up. That's got to be many years ago. And I have very hardly any recollections of that period of my life because I mean I was either an angel or oblivious to it or
uh,
expected,
uh, I know we have a comment on the football game. Okay,
hmm.
it says football game. Boo hoo! It was in the '60s. Or I was complaining. It was in the '60s. It was cold and windy. She says I went to a funny Christmas play last night at South Park. So this would be a Pittsburgh area person, which is a very small local theater, and it was in the low 20s, and the bathroom was outside through the parking lot into the next parking lot. Now, that takes courage there. That's
I can
you
relate.
really got to want to sit on that cold toilet seat.
I can relate to that. The cold just doesn't cut it for me anymore. I really can't cope with it anymore. I have to
Yeah.
dress up with too many layers. I'm talking a lot of layers. My my wife says to me, why are you going out? You have 6 collared shirts on, look like an
Uh,
onion, look like an onion
uh,
or something. So, well, all the best to those folks. Tough
yeah,
it out.
yeah. Hey, look, speaking a little more on the old days,
Yeah.
when we were young, uh, with I put the $2 on Facebook, and if I remember, I actually upload our episodes, but also joined the local high school private Facebook group. Okay,
Hmm.
and I put stuff on there once in a while, and just on a lark yesterday. I wrote something prompted me to write a little story about. Yeah, it was a picture of the river. Okay, so I wrote a little story about, back when I don't know, sixth grade, we used to go fishing down at that little, we called it the island, that little piece of land that stuck out on West Side there by the bridge. We
Mm-hmm.
used to fish there, and we'd get those. Wagner had the Wagner recaps. If you remember the Wagner recaps, they had a recapping business there,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they stored all those old recaps up there, the old tires. And we used to borrow a couple of them on the way to fishing, and then when it got dark and cold, we'd light them, and that would keep us warm.
I remember
Remember
that.
that? One one day, we lit the tires too soon, and it was still light out basically, and there was this thick
Oh,
black plume of smoke that just went down the river, kind of cruised through the main area of town. Pretty soon, Stanley, the cop, was there saying, "What's going on here? You got to stop that. You got to stop." He was real nice about it, but he said, "You can't be doing that." So we were early polluters, so we put the fire out, and I just posted this little story, and it's amazing the number of responses I got. Guys are saying, "Yeah, we did that too. I did
yeah.
that too. I did that 10 years later than you," and it was really cute. It was a lot of fun.
It seemed like a novel way to have a fire on the beach or on the little water.
Yeah,
Not
pulling those
there's no
catfish.
beach. Yeah, it was
Um,
because you couldn't get any wood. You weren't going to make a proper wood fire. This thing would burn
no,
bright and really
no,
hot for a while.
yeah. So that
But
was it.
if anybody can't picture that, just watch the national news. You'll see a
Yeah,
lot of those things being burned around the
yeah.
world. So that was us.
And somebody
What
said,
a
"Well,
polluter.
give us another story. Give us another story." So I wrote a story about. You remember the winter, the bridge, the bridge. The water used to freeze over from time to time in the winter when we had some really cold winters.
I remember.
Back before the climate changed so much, I guess. And so of course we'd go out in the middle of the river, out in the ice in the middle of the river, jump up and down, show how tough we were. And the one time we were doing this is we were coming back to shore, and I was the last one in line. I went through the ice, and but the good news was the water was only up to my waist at that point, and I kind of smashed the ice on my way, got close to shore there, and then Kenny and Buddy pulled me out, took me home. But yeah, that was another thrilling river experience back in the old days.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is probably what many people who managed to live into their 70s can tell
Somehow
you.
we got old anyway.
Some the one time that they did something foolish and somehow did not lose their life, because we did lose some folks in those days.
We
Remember,
did.
we
We
lost some.
did. Yeah.
Yeah, some folks be walking around the railroad track and not
We
hear the
lost,
train coming or
yeah,
something.
one of our
Yeah,
classmates was hit by a
crossing.
train. Yeah, that
Mhm.
was
So
terrible. That was
anyhow,
terrible.
we survived. We survived those stories by. That's it's almost, Dave, like saying that many times we used to climb a tree, go out on a branch, and cut the branch off behind us,
Yeah.
and hope nothing would happen.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh
so,
man. We'd get up in those trees up in the woods and see how much we could shake her. Let's see if this thing will break.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Anyway.
anyhow, that's what's been amusing. You've been writing a little bit and messing around uh, with the emails and internet, I guess. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
any letters from afar this week?
Other than the ones I just read, that's it.
That's it.
Earth to Dell.
That was it.
That
Over
was
the
it.
Dell.
Let's see.
I was gonna say,
My notes
you
are
want
kind of a mess this week.
my thoughts. Did you have any comments on the drones? the drone sightings, which some
Uh,
people say were just airplanes, but I don't see how many of them. I think somebody's just having a
I
ball.
don't know. I mean, I got to wait and see. I'm puzzled, but it's that it's taking so long to figure out who these are or what they are. I think probably most of them are just guys goofing. I remember a friend of mine said, you know, I'd like to buy one of those and just put a long light bar on it. Do you know who said that?
Yeah.
That was you.
Well, what I suggested was you get your cheap little drone and you take a very fine piece of wood, little stick kind of a thing that's maybe 4 feet by 4 feet, and you kind of attach them to things so the thing looks much bigger than it is, and throw a couple lights on the tips of it, and then fly it around.
There you
I
go.
At this point, I think somebody questioned one or two, and then everybody joined in with buying a drone and flying it all over the place just to
Hmm.
be part of the
Just to
nonsense.
be part of it.
So
Yeah.
the two or three people that started out with an experimental drone with the lights and sticks or something, and then that they just expanded. That's why I mean we know they don't allow you to shoot them down, so we know that the government's denying any involvement in this, and that's always like it's got to be some pranksters somewhere just laughing their heads off, just
Hmm. Yeah.
causing all this. H.G. Wells is rolling over his grave
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the breaking stories, I guess. Oh, I got
in,
another breaking story
in New
for you.
Jersey, of no place, yeah, of all places.
Yeah. You're probably already aware of this, but Pantone has announced its color of the year. This is from USA Today, I believe. Yes, USA Today. So I've got to reference my sources here. Do you know who
I,
Pantone is?
I do I know who Pantone is? The person? He's a person? I don't recognize that
I think
name.
it's a company.
It makes Crayola crayons.
I don't know. I don't know. I asked my wife. I says, "What's Pantone? Have you ever heard of Pantone?" And she says, "I'm not sure. I think maybe they make hair dyes or something like that. I'm not sure."
Some kind of
But
coloring
I had
thing.
no
Some
idea. So they have revealed their color of the year, okay, which is Mocha Mousse.
Mocha Mousse, some light
Uh,
brown thingy or
It's
something.
other word. I mean, yeah. Here's for those of you that are going to see this, or are you? Why am I not
I
focusing
don't
here?
think. Oh, there it is. Mocha
Oh
Mousse.
well, it's brown. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
this is what they say. Quote: mellow brown infused with a sensorial and comforting warmth. It's brown.
Change it to red, and it sounds like a wine.
Meant to engage multiple senses, the color should evoke a desire to dip your spoon into it.
Yeah, like you said,
It
change
just
the
gets
name to
this.
red, and it sounds like wine or something like
Yeah,
that.
I don't know. That's
There's got to be
you
a whole
might.
cadre of people that write stuff like that, and another cadre that write the blurbs on books.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
There. Yeah.
if I read this stuff from 1980, if I read these blurbs on the back of this book, I mean, it's it's they're always the best sellers, the New York Times, and anyhow, that's interesting. What else you got?
Oh, the other thing is this. I guess this would be under the category of "My Heart Cries for You." First world problems. This was a
Oh, what?
little article in the paper you gave me. Actually, it was the local paper.
Yeah,
There was a little story tucked away that a person is complaining because their HOA has banned her personal trainer from training this person on site.
no,
Really? Well,
that
and the reason is because the HOA has its own personal
trainer.
trainer.
Ah,
So if you want to be personally trained, you gotta pay the HOA's personal
the
trainer.
company trainer.
Uh,
Hey,
I mean, it's this is you can't make this up. This is so silly.
for all the folks around the world, HOAs are basically a communist system. Uh, and Nikolai Lenin would be, or Vladimir Lenin would be happy to know that we came up with a system called an HOA. That is
homeowners association. So
Yeah, it's a homeowners
just to
association.
clarify for
Those folks around the
the
world.
people in
In
Portugal
Canada don't
scratching
know
their
what
heads right now. Yeah.
well, I wasn't on my radar, but I tell you, that situation has gotten out of hand, and something I'm very familiar with. A man um, of questionable capacity decides to adopt some homeless people. He's well funded. He's certainly wealthy enough to do this, and decides to take them in just right off the street corner. Declares them guests,
Mm-hmm.
register them, and with that comes the whole string attached to that. Do you know what I mean? It's like homeless people. It's not like an individual in isolation. These people have families. They had ex-wives. They have children. The children have children. So
Okay.
so you see what happens. This thing starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So the HOAs, you could do a whole podcast on nothing but HOA issues and problems when it comes to Florida. I'm telling you, it just goes on and
Yeah.
on and on.
Yeah.
Not even funny, some of the
If we
stuff that
want to
goes.
put people to sleep, that's the episode we're going to do. Hey.
It's like an Elmo Leonard. It's like an Elmo
Yeah.
Leonard story.
Jeez. Ay, ay, ay. So I know you're itching to talk about Luigi, whoever his name is,
Well,
or
the
not. That's up to you.
question to you is, and our listeners, and I would think somebody would chime in on this one. Is he a hero or is he a villain? Where do you stand?
My vote, he is absolutely a villain.
Hmm.
He's a murderer. Okay.
No.
That's illegal. All right. It's illegal in this country and a lot of other countries.
Well, I I guess hero would be the extreme opposite of that. But I did not I did not find that to be unexpected. You know that?
Well, okay. That's a different issue then.
Okay. I did not find that to be
Well,
uh,
okay. Is he a hero or a villain?
well,
You made me answer the question.
he's I would take the opposite of villain. I don't see him as a villain. I mean, but the hero is probably doesn't meet the criteria of hero either. But I say that because in America we are so heavily armed and we are so extreme that I just said to myself, it's always been a delicate balance to sort of please everybody and keep them sort of not from crossing the line. But I was not surprised when he did that. Uh, I, his choice, I could see his anger at the choice, but people have a lot of anger against a lot of other people.
I
And
I totally agree with you on that. I mean, it's not, but the question was, I mean, he committed a crime.
now,
He
I've,
took a guy's life.
if I
Now,
said,
you know, the guy might, I don't know if the guy was the worst guy on the planet or, but, you know, I know he had a family. I know the healthcare system in this country is really messed up. And yeah, that's going to maybe bring some light to this. Of course, you know, it's like everybody having 20 guns. We complain about it all the time.
hey,
Nothing changes, does it? Nothing changes.
I don't know if he'll bring any change, but I was surprised at the response. I mean, the response to catch him was overwhelming because I think everybody senses that they have to set an example. And of course, they extended out to a lady in Florida too, who said something like, you know, uh, you're next to a health insurance agent, and they reported her police, and they came down on her and put her in bail for with $100,000 bail. It's almost a terrorism statement. In fact, if you mention the word Luigi, I think you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You say
No, I
something
mean
to
it's
you remember Luigi, and next thing you
yeah.
know, you have three policemen dragging you off as a terrorist. I think they're worried that this could really set some kind of precedent. If you have, when I did some traveling, I found people who had nothing to lose were really, really dangerous. And if our system puts people in that position with the availability of making guns, the plethora of guns, that a lot of people are just going to say, I have nothing to lose and take their own life, like that little 15-year-old girl that killed those people. What could have prompted her to do that in a school shooting, to kill two people and shoot at other people and then kill herself at 15? So,
And then,
all right, I'm going to change that. I'll
well,
change that
yeah.
question to you then.
Wait, you got to remember, guns don't kill people. People kill people.
That's
And
right.
isn't that a bunch of crap? I think it takes both of them. Takes.
Then you
Oh,
could say
here's
fentanyl don't kill people.
well, here's how
People kill
Florida.
people.
Here's how Florida reacted to that. You know, they're looking at now reducing the age from 21 to 18 for when you can get a long rifle in
Well,
Florida.
this is not your long Remington single shot
I
22 we're
understand.
talking about.
Yeah, I understand that.
These
But
long rifles include to be AR-15s with 15 or 30 round magazines. That's considered a long gun. You know what I mean?
okay,
If it's 18 inches, they got an 18-inch barrel or something
okay.
like that.
Well, yeah, you know more about that than I do for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it can be
Well,
a
but Florida wants to. You know, they when they had the Parkland shootings, they raised it from 18 to 21. Now it's well, Parkland's in the past, so let's just drop it back down to 18. Who cares?
no,
That nothing's going to change. It's just like healthcare. We're getting we're sounding real pessimistic and negative here. We shouldn't be doing this right
no,
before the
no, no. It
holidays.
isn't. It isn't. We'll jump to Christmas in a second, but maybe I should change it. Like, do you consider him a murderer or what would be the opposite of murderer, or uh, not a some kind of vigilante?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like a vigilante has a different connotation than murderer. So that would be a bad choice there. So he would qualify for both of those. So neither one of them we consider to be a good attribute.
Yeah. Well, okay. You know, as I
Well,
said,
you see
he's a
the shirt
murderer.
I wear. You know the shirt I wear, the one that says "I am not a responsible gun owner."
Yeah.
So anyhow,
But you know what?
we'll let that slide. Good
You know,
people,
but let me
we'll throw the
just
bone out there. The people, let them comment. Let them sign in and see what they thought. We'll read it to them.
let me just say this: in that in my head, this is not a simple thing.
Mm-mm.
Well, this issue was simple, but you know, then yesterday or the day before, this the Russian general in charge of their nuclear system was blown up. Was allegedly murdered by somebody hired by the Ukrainians. You know, and I thought, not bad. Okay, so there I am. I'm kind of contradicting
Yeah,
myself here.
yeah.
So I
Well, I thought that there was some folks over this election were about to do that. A lot of people felt that if it didn't go a certain way, they were just going to unleash this barrage of violence, like maybe capturing a governor and holding a ransom, or there's all kind of craziness. But bottom line, in this case, the old Bucks go on record is you consider it a crime and unlawful, and I'm going to go on record as I did expect something like this. I just didn't know when or how. I thought it could
mhm.
be a politician, it could be a newscaster, it could be somebody who was offended, and they felt that was the way to sort it out. Hey, but dropping that subject and segue into something else, I was going to ask you: did you put up any Christmas decorations this year? Did you get all involved in that?
uh, I dug the artificial tree out from up in the attic, basically. My wife has decorated it. And
Okay. Okay.
she
So
does a
that's
nice
the
job. She puts outside, you know, bows and flowers and
okay.
ribbons and
Okay. So you did some stuff. It looks colorful. Looks like you're a part of the
yeah, I think
program.
it's nice. It's
This
nice.
wasn't to
It's
compete,
not overdone. It's just it's tasteful. Yeah.
but it wasn't to compete with the neighborhood, which is
Oh
just
no
lit
no
up,
no no
lit up like a Christmas tree. This
no.
is
The
sort of
winners are clear. They you can tell we everybody knows who the winners are there. You know, we didn't put an entry fee in this year to compete.
okay. All right. But you see, I did not even dig out the tree. because it's the obligatory go into the garage or attic to pull the tree down. I completely said, I'm not even going to go to the trouble because we've really been too busy to sort of enjoy that, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I had 12 kids and 35 grandchildren, I can say, okay, we got to do this to decorate for the crowd that was coming. The difference. But with just the wife and I said, geez,
The wife.
I'll gladly look.
The wife.
I'd gladly look at other people's homes, and I was happy for them. And some of them were very, very, very tastefully decorated. I enjoy that. I enjoy watching it. But just thinking of putting that stuff up and taking it down, and the fact that there was either some kind of a dinner arrangement to go to, there was something else to go to, she had to go to, I went to, we went to.
You're in demand. You're in
no, it's just
high
little
demand.
things, little things. Then you're going to run off to the store and get something that was like, before I know it, it's January 1, and I got to take it all down. So this year I was happy to escape all the hoopla, and I'm happy for those that can do it and enjoy it. And I guess I'm becoming a curmudgeon.
You're full of mudge, I'll tell you.
But it saves me a lot of grief. I have a neighbor that goes to such extremes that you can't believe it. I mean, he would decorate a parking meter. You know how big a parking meter is. He would wrap it and put bows on it. I mean, it would have so much junk on it, we wouldn't even recognize it as a parking meter, obviously. So, but that's what he does, and so all more part to him. And extension cords, plugs all over the place. I don't know.
Hey, we got about 2-3 minutes left.
All right.
Let me zip a couple one-liners in here.
Yeah.
I finished Bridie Thielen Heidel's book, Bright Eyes. I got Bright Eyes, and I just finished it. Tough read, as you might expect. Tough read, but a good ending. So I'd certainly recommend it to anybody that has listened to the Bridie on the podcast, which is still our #1 downloaded podcast. Take a look at, take a read, Bright Eyes by Bridie Thielen Heidel. Tough book, but it's all real. It's all real. Let's see what else we have. Another less interesting note, I got my Spotify stats for the year. My listening stats, and turns out this will give you an idea how old I am. My top 5 songs. #1 is "In My Life" by the Beatles. #2, "Imagine," John Lennon. #3, "Into the Mystic." That is by, it's drawing a blank. The Scottish guy. Anyway, and then "With a Little Help from My Friends" by Joe Cocker. And #5 is "For What It's Worth" by Buffalo Springfield. Those are all old songs. Those are the songs that I listen to the most on Spotify, for what it's worth. For what it's worth. Yeah.
I listen to Bohemian Rhapsody, "Walk This Way" by Aerosmith, and "Break My Style" by, I forget his name. There's those 3. I find those every now and then I crank that up on the sound system. But otherwise, just go on to the put the oldies but goodies channel on your TV music station. You get enough of it.
Yeah.
Bring back the old memories where you were when you heard them things 1,000 times. So is it time to say goodbye, Dave?
It's pretty much time to say goodbye. Yeah. So.
Well, let me leave.
You first.
Let me say
you first.
Old Buckdale is just happy as all get out to chat with you. This is the last time for 2024. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Look forward to talking again next year. And this is Old Buckdale saying thanks for listening. And talk to you next year.
And right behind him is Old Buck Dave saying happy holidays to everybody. Happy New Year. This may or may not be our last episode of the year. Who knows? We've gotten a little freer here with our scheduling. So if this is the last episode of the year, we're wishing you all a terrific 2025. We're still going to be here in 2025. We got some interesting shows lined up for you. We've got a great interview coming up with a fellow who's he's an orthopedic surgeon, and he has a soul band.